Sorry, I was sleeping on this plugin. Probably the plugin with the most pedigree that exists. Made to be easy and fun. If that's not calling my name, I don't know what is. So today, my friend, from the great people of Mixed Audio, Ken Lewis and Dom Ravenius, I bring you Lolcomp. But what is it? Let's go check it out. I'm Jorge Lanzas, and now we break it down, baby. Alright, my friend, thank you so much for being here once again. And as you probably know right now by the thumbnail, this is a very fun looking plugin. Lolcomp, even though it looks very nice and friendly, I know it's gonna be gnarly. And my expectations are super high, because behind this plugin, there's no other than Ken Lewis. And just in case you're not familiar, let me introduce you who Ken Lewis is. By the way, you should follow his Instagram too. So just in case you don't know, let me tell you about a few things that Ken Lewis has worked on. Everything from Wu-Tang Clan, BTS, Kanye West, Lana Del Rey, Fall Out Boy, the Beastie Boys, Taj Farran, the blues revival Kid Genius, Ariana Grande, Lil Wayne, Mario, Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar, Snoop Dogg, Lenny Kravitz, Charlie Wilson, oh yeah,
and Taylor Swift.
Just to name a few. And when I tell you just to name a few, when I'm talking about Ken Lewis, believe me, it's just to name a few. He's got tons of credits, over 100 gold records alone. So needless to say, when one of my favorite people in the music industry that has worked with so many of my favorite artists, engineers, musicians,
and friends,
of course I'm gonna sleep on it. But that spell ends right now, right here, with you, my friend. Let's go check out Lolcomp by Mixing and Audio. So here we are in Pro Tools, my friend, and this is the Lolcomp, and I just gotta say it, I love the interface. I've said it a bunch of times here in the channel, but maybe you're new, and if you haven't heard it, I love to have this like really nice looking interfaces, because when you're working in music day in and day out, just go into your plugin library and open something that looks like this. It just gives you a vibe, you know what I'm trying to say? In my case, it just makes me feel a little bit of joy. You may not be just like me, and that's okay. And you need something that looks a little bit more serious, something that makes you feel in your head that this is actually a professional product. They have this other interface right here, which I feel looks pretty sleek too, and I don't know, but it just doesn't spark as much joy as the other one does for me, right? And let me know in the comment section down below which one you like the best. And while you're there, remember to like, subscribe, and do all those cool little things that we like to do on YouTube, and enjoy this little bossa nova, my friend. I hope your day keeps getting better and better and better. Right, let's go back to Lolcomp. Okay, so there you go, we have Lolcomp, and from left to right and top to bottom, first we have the, I want to say, bypass button, indeed, and then we have an input section with a nice little slider. Then we have these 5 different kinds of modes, which in reality is like they are 5 different custom chains. So even though the name is Lolcomp, my friend,
this is not a compressor.
These are complete signal chains that Ken basically came up with just with like the purpose of trying to slim down his sessions. And he's sharing it with us. Okay, and the first one that we have is the LOL chain, which according to their website would be the one that's for vocals. And that we're probably gonna check last because I have no vocals in this song. Then the next chain that we have is called Panda. And ooh, nice, the whole interface just changes. I love how he's just as tired as I am, and I know you probably are too. I'm literally shooting this video at midnight going from New Year's Eve to New Year's Day. So my friend, needless to say, Happy New Year! Hope this 2025 brings lots of great things to your life, and mine. Alright, let's keep going. Okay, the Panda looks really nice. Then we have the next chain called the Kangaroo. Let's see what it is. Oh, nice, and that's why it's a boxing glove. And they say that this chain is for anything that you might need punch, or play with attack and sustain, maybe like plucky synths, maybe your drums, percussions, maybe you have a log drum, whatever you need punch. Then the next chain would be this beautiful feather right here, the peacock. Again, the whole change of scenery looks nice. And then at last, we have the dragon. Nice. And of course, he's got all the gold, right? Like every good dragon. And this one, as you could probably imagine, is the one that is designed to be the saturation and distortion unit. Then on the right, I see what I hope it's a zoom magnifying glass and not like a surge button. Let's see. Oh yeah, zoom. Let's see, 150, that's usually the sweet spot. And there it is. That would be the one that I would like to have at all times. Maybe for the video, I'm going to use something smaller. Let's see, like 125. Yeah, 125 is good enough so that it's easier for me because the camera is right there. Okay, having found our zoom, then we have right here a low cut and a high cut. And you can choose if you want it pre or post. Let's see if we can see the frequencies. I guess we can't. That'd be nice if you could see the frequencies that you're manipulating right here. Or let me see, maybe it's somewhere up there. Nope, I don't see it. Anyway, that would be nice. Then we have Levitate, and I got no clue what this is. We have to check it out. Then Mash, then Awaken, and then Oxidate. Lamao. Like literally LMAO.
That's great.
And then a parallel mix knob. I wonder if this is for this section or the whole plugin. Because ever since I opened the plugin, I saw that it says parallel over here. Let's see what it is. Oh, that's how you open this extra menu. But as a default, the plugin just has it like that, like open. So that's enough about the interface, my friend. This would be the right time for you to go get a great set of headphones, AirPods, great set of speakers, whatever you feel comfortable listening to music to, so that we can have a meaningful conversation in the comment section. All right, let's go listen to some sounds. Okay, so here we are, and we're gonna be listening to some drums. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to our punchy setting, Kangaroo, and hear what it does. First, we're gonna start with the plugin off, then I'm gonna bring it on. You know how it goes. So right out of the bat, it's like very transparent, at least at this level that we're using right now. Let's start pushing it and see what happens. Wow, that's a big change. Let's back it up a little bit because I feel like it's a little bit too much.
Let's hear it.
So just like it says in the tin, a lot of punch. And I want to say that the thing that really benefited the most out of this plugin right now, it's that snare. So maybe I would try to use it directly on the snare channel, just as a suggestion. I feel like right there is that sweet spot, huh? I really love how the information on the sides, like the symbols and like this little like gyro, like right? They just really got a lot more exciting. They got a lot more definition. Overall, definitely better. I definitely can see how using the Kangaroo, the recommendation would be in instruments that need punch or that have punch. They sounded really, really, really good. Let's try to go to our Lamau section and see what it does. Let's start right here with the Levitate. Okay, my intuition told me that hitting the letter would have turned it on, and there you go. It did. And this seems to be like some sort of like a tilt EQ, right? These drums sound a lot better like that, like darker, with more bass and less treble. But just for the sake of the test, let's keep it off for the moment. Let's go to our next section, Mash. So you don't even have to click the thing. Just by turning the knob, it turns this. So you don't even have to click the thing. Just by turning the knob, you turn the section on. This seems to be like some sort of like compressor and like a very aggressive one. Let's go all the way up and see what it does. And yes, I feel like we are getting a little bit of level, or a little bit more than a little bit of level, but I feel like this sounds really good. So I'm going to try to keep it, maybe back it down a bit. This plugin is adding a lot of attack too. The more I tweak it and the more I like level correct so that we can actually hear what it's doing, the more I notice that attack really coming through. So let's go to our next section right here, Awaken. Again, the sweet spot around like 11 o'clock, huh? Really, really beautiful what's happening on the sides, very on the top end of the signal. So just like that with a few knobs, we really have something hot now, huh? Let's see what this oxidate setting is. A reverb? Wow, I had no clue that they would have a reverb. Let's see what the setting 2 is. Okay, so it's different sets of reverbs, right? Like a little small room, something that felt more like maybe a hall. I don't know, it sounded a little bit grainier than a hall. Then I want to say that this maybe was like a chamber, or one of these two was like a chamber, and then maybe this one was like a plate. I feel like that number 3 really feels very good for this. I feel like that setting 3 feels really good for these drums. I wish I could take a little bit of the top end off, but it sounds really good. So now we're a little bit more level matched, or close to be level matched. Let's hear the differences. Anyway, let's stop banging on the drums and hear some bass. And again, back to our default state, and we're gonna start with our Panda setting, which is the one that they're recommending for bass. So let's hear what we have. So just without doing anything at all, the plugin it's already gotten to work, it already clicked in, and it's doing what it's got to do. So that sounds really great already. And if you can see right here in our meters, even though we hear the bass a lot louder, and especially if you're listening to this in like small speakers, you're definitely hearing a huge difference, like night and day probably. But our meters are actually showing us less level. So I know that there's some sort of like clipping involved, right? And it just sounds great. Wow, that's a big, big, big difference. Let's try to back it off a little bit to a friendlier setting. want to say that maybe right there is the sweet spot. Okay, and instantly what I hear, it's like this plugin alone right now, it's doing close to what I'm doing with my parallel chain and my bass. When I pull my template, I have already a couple auxes. In one of them, I have like the TG channel and like maybe like 5 more other plugins. And the other one is just a distortion pretty much. And I'm achieving something very, very similar to what this thing is doing with one single plugin. But for good measure, let's hear our Lamau section and see what happens. Instantly, that tilt EQ is doing pretty much what I really wanted it to do, which is get rid of a little bit of that top end and give me back a little bit more of that robust bottom end that I had. Let me see if I can still cut a little bit more of top end. Because if this is a mix, I'm obviously saving some space for vocals and everything that needs high end, because this bass, I already have more high end than I used to have. And this would be the little tip moment alert. Every time you're doing something with a plugin, and you know when you're trying to get used to the sound and stuff, you overdo it a little bit and then you back it off. No matter how much you feel you need to back it up, back it off a little bit more. A and B, give yourself a minute to forget about the sound and then A and B again, and I bet you're pretty close to where you should be. Now let's try to check what the mash setting is doing. Now, okay, again, we're getting closer to the original sound, but we're just gaining what we want to gain, right? Let's see what happens if we wake that sound up. Beautiful. Okay, so after we took all that top end away, and we've been trying to gain and build that bottom end muscle back up, we're finally getting to the right spot. I can't believe it's just so easy, right? You just turn the knob, turn it up. Oh yeah, this is good. Sauce, give me more. And now we know that this is a reverb, and I don't want to try reverb on bass right now, but feel free to try it in your sessions, my friend. Right, now let's go to our next section, and let's try to hear what's happening in our music bus. Okay, and back to default again with the Lolcomp. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change our setting to the peacock, because that's what they're suggesting, to manipulate the high end in like a softer way and make just things sound prettier. Instantly, I hear that there's a little bit of widening and there's something happening in the top end. Let's hear it. I feel like this would be a great guitar plugin. Honestly, it's just making my guitars just sound so much better. It's taking all of that ugly part of the mid-range out, but leaving the good parts in, right? I mean, I don't even want to tweak it anymore. That just sounds great. Maybe I want to clear a little bit of that low-end rumble that I'm hearing. Maybe not that much. This is something in the mix. Maybe I just need to go to the reverbs and something and change something internally. But as of right now, let's try to turn this down a bit. I mean, it sounds good with or without it. I'm just going to turn it off. Now let's move on to our next setting. I know that I don't need the tilt EQ. I do not need the mash. Let's see what happens if we wake this sound up with the awakening knob. I think this would be a perfect moment to try to switch the setting to the haze mode and hear what the difference is, but also to check if like that top end and mid-range that it's adding changes in a way that it's a little bit more pleasing for this kind of sound that we're using right now, right? I want to say that in this case, it feels a little bit more natural, but let's try to boost it all the way up and A/B it so that we can actually hear what's happening, right? So where Lavender, it's adding this sort of like aggression to the top end and so where Lavender is actually adding some of this like aggression to the top end, while doing a great job demuddying and clearing up the mid-range, where Haze, I feel like it's doing a little bit more of like de-essing, taking more care of something that it's aggressive, trying to soften it, and it sounds really good. I feel like sweet spot would be around here. In any of the modes. Instantly, Lavender feels to me like the distortion in the guitar comes across a little bit more, and Haze just feels a little bit more pop maybe. But I like the aggression, so I'm gonna keep Lavender on. Maybe I'm gonna turn it down a bit. And now let's A and B globally the plugin. Definitely adds spice and everything nice and takes off everything that's ugly. Why don't we do a global A and B, taking all three plugins off and then putting them back on. Alright, so here we are with Lolcomp, and now we're gonna keep it on the default setting because this is the one that's for vocals. Let's hear what we have.
Diddy, when keeping it real goes wrong, he really was a bad boy for life, just having some fun. He had 1,000 bottles of lube at home to have this massive freak of in hotel rooms. When did he want to party?
Instantly, you hear the difference, and I think in my opinion it's a very good one. It's already taming that mid-range that we are talking about. It's important to tame the mid-range. That literally is the difference between things sounding good or bad. Alright, let's turn this thing back on and hear what we can do to mess it up more.
Diddy, when keeping it real goes wrong, he really was a bad boy for life, just having some fun. He had 1,000 bottles of lube at home to have this massive freak of in hotel rooms. When did he want to party? Diddy, when keeping it real goes wrong, he really was a bad boy for life, just having some fun. He had 1,000 bottles of lube at home to have this massive freak of in hotel rooms. When did he want to party?
I mean, it definitely sounds like a finished vocal instantly. Like I'm saying, it just feels like I'm taking a bunch of plugins out of my chain and I'm just putting Lolcomp and it does most of the things that I need. Of course, in this particular example, I already have like delays and reverbs and that kind of stuff. Even though the plugin has some, we might check them in a little bit. Right? Let's go back here and check our Lamau section and see what we can do with it.
Diddy, when keeping it real goes wrong, he really was a bad boy for life, just having some fun.
I feel like these cuts would be really nice with like background vocals. Let's hear what we can do with effects.
Diddy, when keeping it real goes wrong, he really was a bad boy for life, just having some fun.
A very usable ad-lib effect right there, but let's stop tweaking around and let's go back to what we need. I want to try the mash effect on this one really quick.
Diddy, when keeping it real goes wrong, he really was a bad boy for life, just having some fun. He had 1,000 bottles of lube at home to have this massive freak of in hotel rooms. When did he want to party?
I mean, like instantly the vocal is like right there. You cannot miss it, you know what I mean? And that's exactly what you need, right?
Did he? When keeping it real goes.
Let's wake it up with this thing.
Did he? When keeping it real goes wrong, goes wrong. He really was a bad boy for life, just having some fun. He had 1,000 bottles of lube at home to have this massive freak of in hotel rooms. When did he want to party?
I mean, maybe if I would do a little bit of pre-processing in this vocal, like taking it, like maybe, maybe if I would do like a little bit of pre-processing in this vocal, like getting rid of the clicks and pops and all these little noises and the all that kind of stuff, it would be a little bit better. But overall, so far, let's hear an A and B.
Did he? When keeping it real goes wrong, goes wrong. He really was a bad boy for life, just having some fun. He had 1,000 bottles of lube at home to have this massive freak of in hotel rooms. When did he want to party?
I mean, even being that aggressive,
I think it's sounding really good.
but let me copy this setting really quick so I don't lose it.
Let's check the dragon and mangle this vocal.
Did he? When keeping it real goes wrong, goes wrong. He really was a bad boy for life, just having some fun. He had 1,000 bottles of lube at home to have this massive freak of in hotel rooms. When did he want to party? Did he? When keeping it real goes wrong, goes wrong. He really was a bad boy for life, just having some fun. He had 1,000 bottles of lube at home to have this massive freak of in hotel rooms. When did he want to party? Did he? When keeping it real goes wrong, goes wrong. He really was a bad boy for life, just having some fun.
I feel like that's a very interesting sound for like a background vocal. Maybe that happens sporadically in your mix. But back to our vocal setting that we had. I've been watching this little thing that I've been missing since the beginning of the video. Let's check what this little smiley face does. Oh, wow. Okay, so we have a global bypass and then a bypass only for the LOL section and not for the Lamau. So there you go, my friend. Without further ado, let's go get a few conclusions. There you have it, my friend. The Lolcomp by Mix Night Audio. I mean, I did expect a lot, especially when I told you all that story about who Ken Lewis is and he is behind this plugin. But friend, oh friend, oh friend. The single most important thing about this plugin to take home is that it's very, very, very easy to use. Zero harm is being done. Every single custom chain is taking care of all the simple problems that you usually will have when coming across the different sounds that they're actually talking about. So sort of like following their guidelines, we are already in a good spot. But definitely there's a little bit of a learning curve, especially because you're not seeing anything that you're doing. You don't have that visual feedback that we're so used to getting nowadays with all the newer plugins. But that forces you to use your ears, which is ultimately the best thing that you should be doing. And in this case, a plugin that is forcing you to listen while being so easy to work with. Every single thing that you do is going to bring something good and is going to take away something bad without you having to think about it. And for somebody like me, who in most sessions I'm writing and producing on the spot, making a beat, collaborating with other producers, and I have to move quick. There's no time to be waiting for me to be tinkling with like 10 plugins, because even if you're saving a bunch of effects and tracks, you still have to open every single plugin and tweak it if you want to achieve a sound. But when everything is in one plugin, I think you're pretty solid. So overall, really impressed with this plugin. But that's enough about me, my friend. I want to hear what you have to say in the comment section. And remember, while you're there, like, subscribe. If you can financially support me, smash that super thanks button right there. I thank you so much. And if you have some more time to watch another video with me, go watch this one right here. I'll be waiting for you right there, my friend. Thank you for being here once again. Ooh.